Suhel, in this particular case, one group tried very hard to prove that the BBC was innocent, while the reality is the BBC was using that as a cover while breaking the law. Kejriwal said this is an attack on the freedom which is similar to smothering the voice of the public. N. Ram was fighting for the BBC. This gentleman, Vadra, who he referred to, said this makes India the smother of democracy, a stupid pun. And the Vadra Congress said this is an assault on the freedom of the press. I'm saying tonight, Suhel, what's the harm in saying we jumped the gun? We jumped the gun. What's the harm in saying that?
They will never say it. Because one of the things that the so-called left-leaning liberal has is a sense of intellectual arrogance and isolation that they believe they are always right. Now, let me just labor this point that you alluded to. You know, no one here is favoring the BBC. Their whole problem was to malign Narendra Modi and malign the present day Indian government to say that, look, under Narendra Modi, there is no democracy and no freedom of the press. I'll tell you why. Every time you see there is an attack on India, the counterpoint by the liberals is that, no, this is freedom of the press. They must be allowed their opinion, whether it is researched or unresearched.
Right.
I think someone on your program also today said, oh, you know, some of these documentaries were not researched. My point is very simple. If at that time you had the courage of conviction to stand up for the BBC, today you stand up for your government. When the BBC confesses that they owe the government money that they forgot to pay as tax.
Well said.
That's simple courage of conviction. You know, whoever's wagging his finger, I'll ask you to wag your tail. Let me finish. It's a huge distraction, that finger. The second point that I wish to make, and I will end with that, is it is no one's business that BBC or no BBC, we are no one to comment on that. The point is, the BBC today has confessed. If it has confessed, or it hasn't, according to one gentleman in your program, it hasn't confessed because he's read one article which has sources which he cannot verify. Fair enough. Then, as someone on your program said, the BBC should issue a denial. They're a news organization. They know what denials are all about. Saying that, sorry, we haven't confessed. Anything that you've heard in the Indian media is bunkum. But they haven't said that either. So where do we stand? Where does the BBC stand? But more importantly, where does that cabal of people stand? And I'm telling you, I have absolutely no issues. Please support the BBC, but support them when they are right. When they are wrong, criticize them. That's when you'll be a fair person. Otherwise, you will continue to be a person who is seen as favoring one and not favoring what's right.
Yeah, and yesterday...
So, Arnab, I will make a very quick response. Suhel is a very learned person and I have a deepest respect, but he made a very interesting observation here. He said, whenever there is an attack on India, you should not support that, individual. That's where the problem lies. The narration which you want to, float in the media, that if someone makes a criticism of the government, if someone highlights the shortcoming of the government, or of an individual,
you've got to learn to separate the issues.
So you say,
one minute. Just tell me. One minute. You can't be sorry. First of all, you don't have to be sorry all the time. You don't have to be so apologetic as an individual. I'm just saying something to you. No, Kapil, what is this?
This is absolutely, this is absolutely wrong. Mr. Modi, criticism of Mr. Modi is not attack on India.
How is not paying taxes a political point here?
So the point is, I am not...
This is insanity. What you're saying is insane.
Not defending.
Okay, Nupur's really... Come on, Nupur and Suhel on the left. What's going on?